Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and today we will be speaking with a competitor, personal trainer, and current student of nutritional sciences who's sponsored by some major brands in the industry, and she earned her pro card in 2016 at the Miami Nationals. Please welcome Kaylie Fountain. How are you doing today?
Yay! Good. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really well too. Thank you. I'm so excited to have you on today. And to everybody listening, Kaylie was able to make herself available so quickly, which I really appreciate. So when you're listening,
Yeah.
it was like we recorded this yesterday by the time you guys hear this. So
Super quick.
yeah, and I appreciate it. It's going to be really fun. I have a lot of stuff planned for today. But of course, I always want to start off by asking, what is a thought or a ritual or something that you do every time before you step on stage?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to say right before I get on stage, I have to pump myself up somehow. And I'm usually being the crazy one that's dancing and feeling the music and trying to get myself with it, because the whole day, the whole morning that you're preparing, it's kind of stressful because you got to get your makeup done and your hair and your tan and am I getting all my meals in? How much water have I had? Oh my gosh, just so much is going on within that day. So by the time I'm about to step on stage, I kind of have to psych myself out, just prepare myself, just make sure I go up and I'm having fun and enjoying the moment. Of course, I'm always kind of worried, I hope I don't crash and burn on stage or trip, or I just don't even do the right posing that I practice. So sometimes I'm a little worried, but once I get on stage, I usually, I'm able to hit my posing the way I wanted to. And it's thankfully worked out good for me every time, but I'm always having, second thoughts right before I get up there. But like I said, it's been better for me if I can just kind of forget all the stress and just feel the music and get up there and perform, whatever I practice.
Yeah, totally. I mean, all that effort, and I know show day can definitely sometimes can be more stressful than other times. That's for sure. So I understand that. I'm sure there's a lot of girls listening who are totally feel that. And the last thing we want is to be stressed before we go on stage, because we don't want that energy following us, right?
Right. Yeah. Whenever you get on stage, you just gotta shake it all off. Any worries, you just want to get up on stage looking like you're having the best time, possible. So that's kind of what I go through before I get up there.
It. That's awesome. So obviously a lot of things that I want to talk to you about today. And I think that they can actually really help anyone in the fitness industry, even outside of the competitive world. So first of all, before we even get into that, I want to know, when you earned your pro card, how long did you compete before you earned it?
I had competed for maybe 2 years before I earned my pro card. I want to say maybe because I didn't compete until the end of the year 2014. I competed in, I guess it was October or November. And I did my very first show then. And of course, I was hooked right away. And I did a couple in 2015. And then 2016 was my year that I was so persistent on getting my pro card. And I did 4 shows that year. And finally in Miami, was in my favor and I earned my pro card. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it either happens really fast or it doesn't. And for me, I feel very blessed and lucky that I turned pro as quickly as I did, because now this is, I guess, my 5th year competing in total. And I'm up there, with girls and they're like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for 10 plus years or more, so it's kind of intimidating because I don't have that much experience as they do. But yeah, I'm, like I said, I'm very happy and blessed that it happened so quickly for me, but anything's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now, anything is definitely possible. And, some people
Mm-hmm.
even say that nothing really seems to be different. Like the next day, they wake up, they earn their pro card, and like some even say that they wish they would have like enjoyed that amateur journey even more. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious about your perspective on that and like what has actually shifted in your personal and even your business life since you earned your pro card.
Yeah. I mean, as an amateur, it went by really, quickly. I did 2 national shows in total. The first one I did USA's and I earned 6th place, and then right away I went to Miami and I got first.
Wow.
So like you said, I really didn't, get to enjoy that much of, the NPC. And I know a lot of people do, and they love it so much. And some people don't even care to turn pro at all. Like that's not their goal. They just enjoy competing, for either the fun of it or just because it, fits their lifestyle or whatever. But I mean, as far as like waking up the next day after I earned my pro card, I didn't feel different at all. Like I had a photo shoot scheduled, and so that was exciting. And that's not something I've ever done before either. So I was super nervous. But I mean, it has changed a lot because, changed my life a lot because I have like more intentions, to like reach out to my followers, like put out more content, do more photo shoots, and stuff like that, really, I guess. Like I wasn't as involved with social media and like all that kind of stuff while I was in the NPC. So, of course, in NPC, you look up to all the pros, on Instagram and Facebook and whatever. And so it's like, oh, okay, now I got to be like up to par on like social media and like start, putting out more content and all that kind of stuff. So, I guess it changed me, in that perspective. And in my business, yeah, like I've never, had clients of my own online, like coaching other competitors or anything like that. And I slowly kind of started to take that on once I felt comfortable. And I mean, I would only have 2 or 3 clients at a time. I didn't want to like overdo it or anything. And so I really enjoy doing that and just kind of helping, the amateurs with either their posing or their nutrition along their prep or, so that's, of course, help my business and kind of build my own brand and everything.
That's awesome. Absolutely. And I think it's really cool that you like felt like a responsibility shift almost to show up
Yeah.
even more for those
Mm-hmm.
people. And that's an interesting perspective that not a lot of people have shared before. Actually, the last person I brought on, she did talk about how sometimes there can be pressure with that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely like you said, like amateurs are looking up to the pros. I remember even just when I started, I would like type in the Instagram search for like IFBB pros because I want to see what they were doing. And then obviously,
Mm-hmm.
like now here I am with this podcast to really get an inside look. But
Yeah.
you've had a very like interesting journey in regards to like coaching. I don't know a ton about
Mm-hmm.
it, which is great because now I can learn about it. But let's talk about
Mm-hmm.
how you're being coached right now. I know you're currently working under the
Mm-hmm.
guidance of Kimoto, but you also coach
Mm-hmm.
yourself, right? So explain a little bit of like both
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've been a personal trainer. This is my 7th year being certified, and I love training. And I had moved to Texas, and the gym that I joined, there was a whole lot of competitors, and that's what kind of inspired me to compete in the first place. But I also noticed that a lot of the competitors there were also trainers, and they had their photos and they had their transformation everything like that to help kind of like build their business. And so I got off track. Sorry, you're gonna have to edit this.
No, it's cool. And I honestly, I don't even edit any of them. It's all good. We were just talking about how like
okay.
you basically have been a CPT for like 7 years, and then how you were coaching yourself. Now you're working under the guidance of a coach.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like the whole point of me like competing was to be able to showcase that like I can transform my body, and like if I can do it for myself, then I can help others do it. So like I kind of had like too much pride to like hire a coach for me to do it. You know what I mean? And that really wasn't like the way to do it. And I didn't think so. I didn't know really any better, but I coached myself for the first year and a half, I want to say. Just for those reasons, more for my clients, not really for like myself to turn pro or anything like that. And then once I started competing more in 2015, and I wasn't doing as well as I wanted, so I was like, okay, like I need to hire a coach to give me the guidance, because obviously like what I'm doing isn't enough or isn't good enough or whatever. So I hired, actually, he was just a friend, and he's from Denver, Colorado, and we went to high school in the same city back home, and his dad was a bodybuilder and he was a bodybuilder. So I reached out to him for help, and he was like, well, how would you feel about it if I just took over your prep, and got you ready? So I was like, okay, let's, give it a shot. And what it did for me was just relieve so much pressure and like stress on myself, because I was able to trust in him that he was going to have me ready, and whatever he was telling me was going to make me ready for show day. Whereas when I was doing it myself, like I was always questioning myself, like if I was doing too much or too less, or maybe I needed to change something in my cardio or my diet or just whatever. So I was just overthinking it way, way too much when I was self-coaching myself. So having a coach, I guess, just gave me that, security, and it relieved a lot of pressure from myself. And then when I did a couple of competitions, I saw how the teams were, established, like especially like the national shows. And so that's why I had reached out to Kimoto, and I wanted to be a part of his team. And obviously, like, he has amazing credentials. He's, Miss Olympia's coach, like all those things really like tied me to him. And I reached out to him, and he's absolutely like amazing. Like, we get along so well. He's always, bringing me up, and again, like, just, he gives me so much security going into each show, just trusting in him completely. And of course, like, I'll always give back my feedback, how I'm feeling, or if I think that something needs to be adjusted, and he'll kind of compromise with me on that, which I like. But yeah.
That's awesome. No, that's really, really cool. And I totally agree. Like, having a coach, I believe all coaches need coaches, no matter what the industry is, no matter what you do. It's like a game changer. When you have a coach, there's this like objective point of view that's constantly being provided to your journey, and that's like the point of view necessary for like the best growth. And like you said, like, there's a stress relief. It's like, why would I want to do my own training and stuff when I'm already doing like all these other people's? Like, no, not gonna happen. So plus, like, I feel the same way as you. I'm like, I would rather have someone coaching me, because for the pure like reason being of like, then like, you can just put your trust in them, trust that process. You're not going to be overworking yourself on cardio, under eating, overeating,
Right.
beating yourself up mentally, not pushing when you need to,
Mm-hmm.
not rest, like all those different factors that a coach can just say, let's do this, let's do that. And also having a coach that you get along with and can help you in ways that you feel need to be helped is really, really cool. So,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like obviously having a coach and working with Kim, did you
Mm-hmm.
find that being on a team did help you on those like show days as well? Because I know that was something that you said kind of guided you to join a team. Did you find that it was everything you
Yeah.
expected?
Yeah. It's just like the whole support system, like when I would be at shows and I was alone, I mean,
Mm.
I was just in my own mind and thinking and kind of stressing out, and it's like these teams, they all are together and they're all, friends with each other and they all give support. And like even now, just I'm constantly in contact with my teammates, like um, complimenting each other or just like seeing who's doing what, or it just gives it a whole different vibe, I guess I want to say. Like when you're there, it makes it more fun and more enjoyable to have teammates, have a coach, like just to be more involved, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I remember the same
Mm-hmm.
thing at my first show. I was like looking around like it'd be cool to have a team or a group of girls that I already knew like coming into this, or even just knowing that I
Yeah,
could like text someone, with any issues that I was having. So I love that.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so like apparently obvious too how much of a difference it makes, especially if it is a stressful day or if you do have some worries, it helps a lot. So
Mhm.
kind of want
Mhm.
to like talk,
Agreed.
yeah, and I kind of want to talk to you about like now like business side of things. So
Mhm.
you are an athlete who is sponsored by a lot of different companies. And the reason I'm highlighting this is because we've had a lot of athletes on here, a lot of pros. Um, a
Mhm.
lot of people are sponsored. Some people are only sponsored by a few companies, one company, whatever. You're sponsored by
Mhm.
quite a few.
Mhm.
You have obviously been able to
Mhm.
leverage your presence either online or whatever. So I want to know
Yeah.
kind of like, and I'm going to include all the people who sponsor you in the show notes
Mhm.
so that everyone can like
Mhm.
obviously support that way. But what I want to know is how that process began to unfold for you, where you started to
Mhm.
connect with and be sponsored by these companies that you love.
Yeah. I mean, I've with Toxic Angels bikinis, I've always worn her bikinis. I've actually never ever worn a different bikini in my whole career. And well, like just brand of bikinis, of course, I've
Hmm.
worn different versions of
Yes.
hers. And so that really tied me to her. And I think she was my first sponsor um, ever. And then right away when I turned pro, she made my pro debut suit for me. Um, and I've always just stuck with her. The Shoe Fairy, actually, her and Toxic Angels bikinis, they do a lot of business together. And so that's how I, kind of reached out to her and just, we both help promote each other, and that's how it is for all of my sponsors. We just really kind of feed off of each other, and I promote them, they promote me, and it's just a win-win situation. Of course, I use all the Still Fit products. I use them way before I was sponsored by them. So I guess just me naturally sharing um, my experiences with these companies with my followers kind of made a light shine on me, I guess, to the companies, and so they, were generous enough to bring me onto their team, and that way we can both, benefit from each other rather than, just individually all the time. Me just posting them because, I just naturally want to post and share with my followers all the time. So
Right.
um, I mean, I feel very blessed, and it's exciting, to be again a part of a team, and because all these companies have other other sponsored athletes that you can connect with. So it's all about like just connecting with other people and other people online, and that's what encouraged me, and that's helped me build my social media also.
Yeah, that's awesome. And collaborating with people online definitely makes a big difference because we all have something
Mhm.
special to bring, even if we do similar things or if we offer similar things. Like we're each so unique that maybe one person in someone else's audience just vibes more with us, and maybe the same thing is true from our audience. They vibe more with them. So if we can continue to
Mhm.
support each other like that and share each other, that's really, really powerful. And I love that you really did
Mhm.
capitalize on that. And I think that says a lot about
Yeah.
you and your willingness to not only be on a team, but contribute and add value to others. And then see, like,
Mhm.
that's what is going to attract them seeing the value in you. So that's really great
Yeah.
advice for the people listening. And I appreciate you sharing that. And,
Mhm.
shifting gears a little bit, something that I have
Mhm.
noticed about pros is that they tend to
Mhm.
maintain, and not all, and it's not like this is absolutely necessary, necessarily,
Mhm.
but they tend to maintain a more conditioned physique year round than an amateur. So even if they're focused on building,
Mhm.
it seems like the conditioning and the physique is on another level, or there's like an expectation of a different level. So what are some things that you do to
Yeah.
support yourself in your building phases without getting too far from being able to have an effective prep?
Mhm. Well, it's funny that you say that. I mean, I should have mentioned it whenever we were talking about
Mhm.
the whole like how my life has changed since I turned pro from being an amateur, because it is very true. We like to stay. I I personally like to stay around 10 pounds or so from stage weight. Just that way, it doesn't make my preps so difficult. And if I feel like I need to do more shows during the year, I'm able to do that without going through like a 16 to 20 week prep. And also, if you are doing like photo shoots or modeling or something like that, it's 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 easier to do that, when you're in shape for it. Whereas if you're full blown off season and are up 15, 20 pounds, you might not feel comfortable doing like a photo shoot or something like that. I really just want to say that it makes your prep so much smoother and easier when you maintain, at least 10 pounds from stage weight. And again, Kim guides me through all that. He puts me through my off seasons, and my diet's different, but not a whole lot, different. I get the basic prep foods, just more of it and a little bit less cardio. It's just the focus changes, but
Right.
you don't have to like go overboard with it or anything. And um, I guess just, yeah, my experience with it, it's just better and easier to kind of maintain. And whereas when I was an amateur, I would gain like 20 pounds or so, in my off season, and it was just really, really hard to get back down to where I needed to be.
To have like
Hmm.
an easier prep, one that wasn't so like grueling,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done it. I've lost 20 plus pounds before, and it's like, makes you crazy to want to have to do that every single year or every single time you prep.
yeah, absolutely. I definitely know how that feels. And you're right.
Yeah.
And I think for some people listening, they might go, well, I put the first 10 pounds on like right in the first week
Mhm.
because of water cuts, or let's say because
Mhm.
obviously there's sodium manipulation a lot of times, or artificial sweeteners get cut, or new things, new foods are introduced after a show. So
Mhm.
are you basing your 10 pounds from the weight you were like, let's say the day before the show, or are you basing it more on like before? I don't even know if you do water cuts, some people don't, but what are you normally basing your 10 pounds off of?
I would say like the weight I go into peak week with, because that is before like I've cut my water, my sodium, and all that kind of stuff. Because I mean, when you get on stage, you're like down to nothing, you know. Like,
Yes.
so I mean, some people don't. Some people don't, are blessed and not have to cut any water at all. I'm not one of those people, but so yeah, I base that off of my peak week weight, and like you said, the week after the show, or if I'm not competing again, I'll gain like at least 5 to 7 pounds of like water weight that we all hate
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, just because, you know, like we all, you know, celebrated, you know, we went out to eat and got all kinds of sodium back in our system and all that good stuff. So you do kind of bloat up a little bit. I do at
Yeah.
least for a week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
um,
Even if sometimes even if you're
yeah.
eating like clean, it can still happen.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, totally.
and it's just like that,
Yeah.
the way the body's like digestion is like it's just readapting. And I think
Mhm.
some girls get really uncomfortable with that to the point where it actually like hurts them more mentally than benefits them.
Yeah.
You know, you hear a lot of times like girls will see their body change like that and then they just keep putting like crap in it because it's like, well, I did
Yeah.
all that and my body's already bloated or I've already had this. So, what would your suggestion
Mhm.
be to girls going into, let's say, reverse dieting or into an off season? And let's say, like,
Mhm.
I mean, like, this is obviously like a, a competitors, like, there's all sorts of different types of competitors, people have different approaches. But what would you suggest mentally for those people going into that?
Well, I mean, you really just have to prepare yourself to and just know that that's naturally going to happen, and all you can do is just pick yourself back up and just keep moving forward. Um, I have experienced that so many times. Like I get post competition blues like 110% because like I'll be like, okay, well on Saturday I looked phenomenal. I have all these amazing photos. I'm obsessed with the way that I look. Like super excited. And then like come Monday, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a cow. Like what happened? And like I said, that happens to me pretty much every time. Like if I went out, had a full blown, you know, cheat meal and all that. And I'm very hard on myself. But you know, it's not worth it. And you just have to learn to like enjoy the whole journey and the whole process. And sure, like go out and, you know, have yourself a cheat meal, whatever. And then come Monday, be committed back to your prep diet, basically. Once I do that, you right away, you can drop the water weight throughout the week. And then each week you can start introducing like new foods, a little bit more calories back to your diet and slowly, you know, decreasing your cardio. I never ever stopped my training. Like, I know that some people will compete for, you know, I don't know how many shows or whatever, and then they'll get done and they'll take like a week or 2 weeks off from the gym. And I have never done that. Like, as soon as I get back on Monday, like, I'm super motivated to get back in the gym. And also because, like, you just had a couple cheat meals and you got some food in your body, so you want to go and work out. But I also, you know, really highly suggest that, like, just, you know, pick yourself back up on Monday from the show and just continue with the way that you were. And then just kind of slowly, like I said, decrease the cardio and you can bring up the calories a little bit each week. And that, you know, basically helps build your metabolism back up. And it's a lot healthier on your body because you've been, you know, depleted for so long or dieting for so long, and it's a lot easier on your body to just slowly, you know, work its way back up.
Totally. And I've noticed that too. Like some girls do, like some girls religiously take like a week or two off after a show. And um
Yeah.
I'm definitely more like you. Like I'm like, all right, like it's just another normal day. Like Monday we're back in the
Mhm.
gym doing our thing. Like I personally also find like not even from the sense like Not even from the sense of like, oh, I ate so much so I have to go work out, but more so from the sense of like, I ate so much, I have so much energy, like I feel
Right.
good. I haven't gotten to like lift in a while because peak week you don't
Mhm.
touch the weights that much. So I'm like excited to get
Yeah.
back in there on Monday. And like this past week,
Mhm.
for example, was me coming back from a show. And I remember like,
Mhm.
oh, I do not want to do my incline sprints. And I was like, is there any? I'm like, no, like it's gotta happen. And then I felt so good. Like they were smooth and
Mhm.
quick. And that's, I think, something that some girls miss out on when they choose
Yeah.
to like take a break or go into a lifestyle that's completely the opposite end of like a prep style
Right.
rather than being strategic about it, because you can gain so
Mhm.
much just from getting right back into it. And it is a lifestyle, like you
Yeah.
said. You even mentioned it's that
Yeah.
lifestyle. It's enjoying the process. And something
Mhm.
I'm like thinking is huge is like enjoying the process of both seasons and all seasons of the sport rather than seeing it
Right.
as like a 12-week prep. It's like, no, like you're
Right.
prepping for
Yeah.
like all the time.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
whether you're off season or not, like you should always be, persistent on your diet and what your main goals are, and just stay committed, year round, and it makes the whole lifestyle easier. I would I would say, because
yeah.
it's like if you're constantly roller coasting up and down with your weight or your consistency or whatever, it just makes it so much harder to keep doing it.
Yes, and you've already done so much work, right? Like
Yeah.
why not keep
Yeah.
going? And like, people I
Mhm.
think ask pros a lot, especially like I imagine anyways like, "Oh, how do you keep so motivated? How do you?" It's like, well, imagine the thought of even amateurs who have just been competing for a while, but it's like imagine the thought of
Mhm.
like you do all this work and then you let it all go and you have to start basically square one. Like the motivation lies within the desire not to lose everything you've worked for.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's been me. I mean, I love food. I love to go out to eat with my boyfriend. Like that's our thing. But I know that if I overdo it, it's going to be way too much. And I just constantly have to keep telling myself, like, you're good. Like this is not, your life. Like I would much rather be healthy and have energy and feel good about myself. You know what I mean? Like once in a
Yeah.
while is gonna kill you, of course. Like whenever I'm not in full prep mode, like I'll go out to dinner, but I'm not gonna go crazy either. It's like everything in moderation is
Yeah,
where it's at.
exactly. It's not like
Yeah.
your identity to be someone who's like, I'm just gonna let myself go for a little. Like, no, like you're an athlete.
Yeah.
You value health and fitness. Like you got into the sport
Right.
because of the reasons that we discussed. Like you wanted to show that you were capable of this transformation. Like that's already in your blood. So
Mhm.
I think it's cool.
Mhm.
Like I love that you said that you still take the time, like obviously when you're not in full blown prep, to go out and enjoy yourself, have a nice
Mhm.
dinner and meal and recognize like it isn't gonna kill you. So why beat yourself up over it? Um, and
Yeah.
just be mindful. So that is
Mhm.
that's really good advice. But I'd love to now ask you something that I always
Mhm.
like to kind of wrap things up with is asking like what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is either thinking about competing or is competing and wants to go pro?
Um, Again, just like falling in love with the process. Like if you can do that and you can be happy with every single time that you compete, like you're going to go so much further and you're going to be able to keep competing long term. Like I feel like a lot of girls get discouraged way too quickly and then they'll stop competing, or they'll let themselves go or whatever. And it's like, I personally have gone through that. Like my first year that I turned pro and I did my pro debut year, I was so discouraged because I went from, doing really well in the NPC, turning pro, and then getting like last call outs, for like
Mhm.
5 shows in a row. And so mentally, like that can really beat you up. And that, I know a lot of pros get discouraged, and stop competing. Or even, people in NPC, if they go to a national show, they go to another one, and they're not winning, they just give up. So it's like, if you can just enjoy the fact that like you are like prepping and working out and getting on stage, and enjoy every single prep, like it just makes it's so much more rewarding at the end, like rather than, getting discouraged or, feeling bad about yourself because you didn't win. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, everybody wants to win, that's why we go to each show. But like, if you can really just appreciate the process a lot more than like the final end result, the trophy, like you're going to be so much happier and so much more successful in the long run, I would say.
Absolutely. I love that. That is really great advice. And I would love for you to share where everyone can connect with you and tell you how much they appreciated everything that you shared here, as well as all the insights that you provided, because there was a lot of different topics covered. And I really, me personally, am grateful you came on to discuss them. So I'd love for everyone else to be able to express their gratitude.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, but Instagram is at Kaylie Fountain _IFBB Pro. And my website is kfountainfitness I'm giving my email, at gmail.com. My email, kfountainfitness.com.
Perfect. Awesome. So you make sure you go tell Kaylie how much you loved this episode. And of course, please reach out to her. Obviously, if you need support or help with anything, she's very open to providing that. That's what she does. And aside from that, like we discussed, she's sponsored by lots of different companies. So you might even be able to get the hookup from her. So I'm going to put all that info in the show notes, which is going to be on celestial.fit/podcast. Obviously, if you're on iTunes, you'll be able to see the link to the episode webpage for that. So with that being said, Kaylie, thank you so much for joining us. And to everybody listening, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this podcast. Let's make it awesome.